Eddie Munson is one of those characters whose death never really made sense. But when you look at the first part of Season 5 and connect it to the Dungeons & Dragons lore, a pattern starts to appear, one that's way too obvious to ignore. Eddie didn't die just because. He died in the exact way that fits perfectly with the D&D lore. So get ready, because in this video we're gonna explain why Eddie is coming back in Season 5 of Stranger Things. First of all, of course, there's the emotional and the commercial side. The show knew they were creating a charismatic character that thousands of people would connect with and feel like he was their best friend. And the best thing they could have done to keep us on the edge of our seats was to put him deep inside our hearts. And then kill him right in our faces! His impact was so strong that it was obvious this would open a door to bring him back for the grand finale of the story. And if all the Hellfire Club shirts and sweaters sold like TVs on Black Friday, of course they were gonna use Eddie to make just a little bit more money. But okay, it's not all about money. Eddie might return in Season 5 based on what we saw in the first part of this 5th season. Now almost everyone is gonna get Vecna-like powers. Well, all the kids he kidnapped, and now Eleven, who controls her powers more than ever. Vecna is practically 100% vulnerable. Everyone is gonna go after him, and that's where Eddie's return fits perfectly. Vecna might end up alone against all the Powerpuff kids. So, to balance the fight, Vecna has an ace up his sleeve that no one is expecting. He can revive the dead. And he's definitely gonna build an army with everyone who died because of the Upside Down. We're gonna see iconic characters we thought we'd never see again. But the strongest one of all is gonna be Eddie. And yeah, it's gonna be extremely difficult for the kids to fight against innocent people who are now part of Vecna's army. So they'll have to figure out a way to make Vecna break the connection he has with his soldiers. And that's where Eddie comes in, because Eddie is part of the most important lore in Dungeons & Dragons when it comes to defeating Vecna. In D&D, Vecna was defeated by his own right-hand man, Kas. And when you analyze Kas's story, you notice how much it resembles Eddie's story in Stranger Things. Kas was a high-level warrior, loved, charismatic, and impossible to forget. He was the greatest hero Vecna could have found, and when Vecna saw his skills, strength, and presence, he knew he had to make him his right hand. Vecna even created a super powerful weapon for him, the Sword of Kas, a conscious, dangerous weapon that could turn on anyone. And that's exactly what happened. Over time, the sword started whispering to Kas, telling him Vecna didn't need him anymore, that Kas was way better, that one day he'd be replaced. Kas fell for it. He entered Vecna's domain, cut off his arm, ripped out his eye, and started one of the most epic battles in the lore. Both disappeared from the plane they were on, and later Kas returned as a vampiric warrior, one of the most powerful beings ever. And now you can already see how a lot of this connects with Eddie's role in Stranger Things. Eddie was a total pro at D&D. In Hawkins, he was one of the strongest warriors. He was charismatic, loved by everyone, and brave enough to sacrifice himself to distract the bats from the Upside Down. He gave his life for others, which made him a hero. And trust me, Vecna noticed that. He saw a warrior so loyal that he literally gave his own life. And that's where the theory of his Season 5 return comes in. Because Eddie does come back. To understand that, we have to start from his death. Eddie didn't die like a normal human. He died inside the Upside Down, devoured by Vecna's demonic bats. And these creatures, far from being simple monsters, act as extensions of Vecna's magic. They're like souls shot as living projectiles. In D&D, that's how Vecna marks the beings he later reanimates. Vecna can transform bodies, corrupt them, and turn them into his soldiers. That's why Eddie wasn't torn apart. He was processed. The Upside Down didn't kill him. It transformed him. And that's where Phase 1 begins. Eddie revives in the Upside Down as a vampiric creature. His body, rebuilt with mutations, is reborn as a dark warrior. No memory, no humanity, just a weapon. Vecna wants him as his enforcer, the guardian of the heart of the Upside Down, the exact equivalent of Kas in the original mythology. And this is where things get really interesting. Kas could only betray Vecna because he had a weapon with a will of his own, the Sword of Kas, a relic that hated Vecna and manipulated Kas to rebel. So, what's the only thing in Stranger Things that has that kind of energy? Exactly, Eddie's guitar, the instrument he used to challenge the Upside Down, to save Dustin, and to become a symbol of sacrifice. That guitar is soaked in his rebellious spirit, but the curious thing is that nobody knows what happened to it after Eddie's death. When that guitar touches the Upside Down again, everything is gonna change. The Upside Down distorts everything, like the Creel house, the trees, the weapons. So, when the guitar is exposed again, it'll mutate and transform into something new. The new Sword of Kas, Upside Down Edition. A living weapon that vibrates, sings, whispers, and reacts, but most importantly, carries Eddie's fragmented soul. That guitar sword has one purpose: destroy Vecna. Just like in D&D, it exists to kill the master who indirectly created it. And here's my theory of what will happen. The kids might run into Eddie again, but now in his mutated upside down form, hostile, corrupted on Vecna's side. When they finally escape, Dustin will find Eddie's guitar and learn to use it to try to bring Eddie's memory back. In the final battle, Dustin goes to retrieve Eddie's guitar pick, the one he gave to Eddie's uncle. So now he can play the guitar inside the Upside Down, helping Eddie regain his consciousness. When the group tries to use it to find Eddie, the weapon starts to vibrate. Dustin holds it and feels it pulsing as he plays a solo. When corrupted, Eddie gets close. The guitar recognizes him. The vibration breaks the mental trance, and when Eddie holds it, it gives him back his memories, transforming the guitar into a guitar sword. The corruption finally ends. Eddie wakes up. And with that, the prophecy is born. The champion created by Vecna will become the warrior who destroys him. That's where the final betrayal begins. Eddie cuts off Vecna's arm, specifically the arm he uses for mind control. Then he stabs him in the eye, recreating the great D&D myth. Vecna goes into full rage, tries to overpower him, but it's too late. The weapon was made to kill him. And after a long, brutal battle, Eddie is the one who delivers the final blow. Vecna now falls. The Upside Down shatters, but sadly, Eddie doesn't come back with the others. Anyway, how do you think Kas's story from Dungeons & Dragons connects to Eddie in Stranger Things? Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe for more Stranger Things videos.